You're with the Sound of Ideas from IdeaStream Public Media. I'm Stephanie Haney. Thank you for staying with us. Now we have our latest installment of our series, Get to NEO a Leader, where we introduce all of you, our audience members in the 22 counties of Northeast Ohio that we reach, to your officials from across the listening area. Today we'll meet Tanmay Shah, who was just elected as the Cleveland City Council member for Ward 12. At 29, he'll become the youngest member of council when he takes office in the new year, and the only newcomer this election to unseat an incumbent. Running as a Democratic Socialist, Shah defeated council member Danny Kelly by a razor-thin margin of 9 votes. We've got the council member-elect with us today to talk about his win and his hopes on what he will bring to City Hall. Tanmay, thanks for being here.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Now, if you would like to join the conversation, you can do that by giving us a call at 866-578-0903. You can also email us at soi@ideastream.org, or you can send us a message on Instagram at The Sound of Ideas. Tanmay, you ran this race as a Democratic Socialist, which is something that we're hearing a lot. It seems to be having a moment nationally. So can you describe those principles to us and how you expect to apply those in office?
Yeah, for me, I think we want to contextualize it for the local context. It's important to understand that I think Clevelanders really inherently understand what it means to be left behind by the capitalist system that we have. We've seen jobs leaving our city for decades now. We've seen a disinvestment in our neighborhoods that has instead prioritized the ultra wealthy instead of our working class neighborhoods. And for us, when we were running this campaign, we were thinking through, okay, what are some solutions that we can put forth? It really kept coming back to, are we able to reverse this cycle of disinvestment in our neighborhoods and instead make sure that our neighborhoods are the ones, because we believe fundamentally that it is working class people that generate the wealth of our economy, and that's how we have a path forward to growing our city again. And from the jump, we wanted to make sure we added a focus on housing and groceries because we saw there was such an absence of this, and we've seen the market fail once again to, actually provide this for working class people.
You mentioned affordable housing and affordable groceries and also reliable city services. Can you give us any kind of an idea how you expect to come up with the funds in order to make those things happen?
Yeah, I think the challenge is actually getting people to understand how they're being provided for us right now. There's a lot of misconceptions, right? Let's take, for example, housing. People already don't realize that we are already providing subsidies for developers to come in and attract housing, development, whatever it may be. And right now that has skewed towards luxury developments. And instead of doing that, we can say, hey, look, we actually want to have truly affordable housing. Let's actually make sure that's a part of this when we discuss, what the developers might be wanting to come in for. And that's where I think we can definitely bring in a lot of money. But I think overall, if we take a step back, the understanding of, where our housing market develops is going to be something we have to kind of combine with what City Hall is already doing. So, it's really difficult, and I think we saw this during Rebecca Mauer's term in the last 4 years, Mayor Bibb's term, where we've seen as City Hall starts to modernize, we are going to have to start understanding what are the different ways we can do things. We can't expect different results if we keep doing the same things.
Now, a lot of people view capitalism as something that's central to the American dream, the idea that if you work hard, you can succeed. It's as simple as that. What do you think about that mindset?
As an immigrant who came here from India, it is something that I believe definitely if you work hard, you should succeed. But that is not the truth that most people actually live. If you're telling me, let's take, for example, right now, the Starbucks workers that are on strike, that are working hard, they are not getting the things they deserve, even though they are the ones that are producing the labor. Brian Nichols, the CEO, is earning $95 million a year. Are you telling me that he works 95 million times harder than the average worker? I just fundamentally disagree that these are the ways that our system is actually working right now. And we've seen this time and time again where workers are being left behind and they're not getting a fair share of the pie that they're actually helping create.
So what was it that hit that light bulb for you the moment where you decided, I'm going to run for city council in Cleveland?
It's a great question. I know, I don't know if there was one single moment. It was rather a buildup of time. I've went to law school at Case here, and I was observing city politics. I was seeing, for example, what sticks in my mind oftentimes is the Q deal, when we gave Dan Gilbert a lot of money to renovate his stadium, and that was out of our public money once again. And my question at that time, frustration was, why are we subsidizing these billionaires and these sports teams that are earning profits, but we're not seeing those investments coming back to our city. That was definitely one moment. And then in the past year or two, I've been involved, in our local community organizing, been involved with our local Cleveland Palestine advocacy community, where we were asking City Hall for a simple ceasefire in Gaza to recognize the genocide that was going on. And this was something that we weren't able to get for over 15 weeks. And it was a simple paper statement that wouldn't have cost the city a dime. And we kept coming back and saying, look, why is this such a hard thing to do? And it really started from that, where we need local accountability. We can't expect our federal officials, our state officials to do the right thing if we are not getting that here locally. So it really started refocusing my energies on the local scene. We saw at the county level as well. We've been successful in getting money divested out of Israel, and we want to keep that up. But it's really going to be, how can we actually have accountability of our elected officials? And I just saw a lack of voices that sounded like the things that we wanted, and that's what spurred me to run.
Now, you were supported in your election by progressive groups, including A Better Cleveland for All and the Ohio Working Families Party. We got an email in from Chris in Ohio City, and Chris asks, what role did preventing a pre-primary endorsement by the Cuyahoga County Democratic Party play in your eventual electoral win? And Chris also adds, congratulations on it.
Thank you, Chris. Great question. I think it was huge. Not having a sample ballot in our race was definitely key, and that was something we worked for. We wanted to make the case to the voters, and I think we were successful in that we should have an open primary where the party shouldn't put its thumb on the scale and tell the voters, when you have two Democrats, two campaigns that are actually motivated to talk to voters, and we were successful in that. We actually knocked over 10,000 doors. We had over 150 volunteers, not a single dime that went for paid canvassing, and we believe that is really what made the difference. But that was the pitch for us coming in from the jump, and the executive committee for the Democratic Party believed in this, and they went with the non-endorsement that we were really excited for.
Now, there's a new district map that the Cleveland City Council will be operating under. So Ward 12 runs from West Side's Edgewater neighborhood to West Boulevard. Can you tell us about any hyper-local projects that you would like to take on in the area?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple, things that are bubbling right now. I'm really excited, hopefully, to work on the Variety Theater project that has been just kind of laid by for quite some time. It's anchor historic theater that really could revitalize the neighborhood and be the anchor for what many hope for is going to be the Little Arabia, another cultural district, similar to Little Italy that we absolutely can have. And then in the north right now, we are also, I want to recognize there's school closings right now. This is the top of a lot of folks' minds, and there are a couple of schools that are in our district that are slated to be closed. So we want to work with local community organizations and partners to make sure that those district buildings get put into useful things that the community actually wants. And that's been one of the focuses as well right now.
Thank you for bringing that up. We will be having a conversation about the consolidation with the Cleveland Metropolitan School District later in this week. So stay around for that. Stay tuned for that. That'll be Thursday of this week. I want to remind our audience that we are sharing a new installment of our Get to NEO a Leader series with you. We have Tanmay Shah, who will be serving Cleveland City Council in Ward 12 when he takes office in the new year. And if you'd like to call in with a question, that number is 866-578-0903, and you can email us at soi@ideastream.org. Now, you won the election by just 9 votes. Yes. Is there anything you would like to share about voting and participating in local government in general?
It's something we stressed the whole time, was that voting is absolutely important. And I think, it's probably beyond it's not necessary to talk about just how important it is. As we see in this race, 9 votes. That was the difference one canvasser made when they were door knocking and talking to 9 people. Every vote matters. But what our message through the campaign was that voting shouldn't be the start and end of your advocacy or your involvement in your community. This voting is the bare minimum. So if you're not involved on your local neighborhood block, if you're not involved in a club, something that actually puts your community forth and brings it together, then voting can only get us so far. We've seen this time and time again. And I mean, just the fact that I was the only person to beat an incumbent speaks to this, where we need more energy going into our city, and that's only going to happen when we come together.
This is something that people talk about a lot. Getting people to come to Cleveland, newcomers coming to Cleveland, young professionals, families looking to buy homes, people choosing where to build their lives. Is that something that's a focus for you, bringing new people in? And how does that compare to your focus on building and improving for the people who are already here and keeping them here?
That's a great question. We actually believe they're fundamentally tied. When people see that a group of people are happy, they're, actually thriving in their neighborhoods, that is what is going to attract new people there. It is not going to be, glitzy downtown development necessarily. It's actually going to be when working class people have good schools and they have good jobs and good housing. And that's been our focus from the start, is making sure, look, why don't we actually improve the lives of the people that are already living here in Cleveland so that the others around the county, around the state can actually see, look, this is something that's actually happening and we can invest here. And when we actually focus on those things, we believe that our city will grow. And it's something that we absolutely have a focus on. Talking about so many of our problems in Cleveland go back to this fundamental issue of lack of people that we have here, unfortunately. We went from 1 million to, a third of that. But unfortunately, so much of our infrastructure and facilities still reflect when we had 1 million people. And that's why we were going through the school closings right now, is because all these facilities, we have too many of them. But if we actually want to grow, we're going to have to start bringing people back here. And we believe that's going to be through investments in our neighborhoods, not just, giving more projects to the ultra wealthy and the billionaires.
We have a call now from Kit in Alliance. Kit, welcome to the Sound of Ideas. Go ahead.
Hi. I have a question about what you think, from your experience, about the rest of Ohio's local, electoral landscape. Do you think people like you could be elected in other areas around Ohio?
Absolutely. When we talk about people like me, I believe it's community organizers that are rooted in their neighborhoods and understand what their neighbors actually want and need. I absolutely believe other people can get elected. It's just a matter of actually going out and building those things.
Thank you for the question, Kit. We appreciate it. As we start to wrap things up here, I'd like for you to talk about your time at Legal Aid and how that shapes what you've chosen to do with public service.
Yeah, Legal Aid was one of my first jobs coming out of law school, and it was I worked with so many wonderful people and amazing advocates there that were pushing for their clients to get the best outcomes, and I learned so much there from my mentors. We also unionized while I was there. It was something that I'm really proud of. We formed a union of almost 100 people, and that was something that was just amazing to be a part of. But a lot of my focus on housing actually came from there. I was a housing attorney there, and during that process, my assigned courts, I was seeing tenants who were unable to afford $600, $700, $800 in rent. And every time I'm going home after hearings or going to work, all I see being built around town are luxury developments. And the question kept coming back to me there is who's actually going to live in these places? And I know it's not my clients, the people who are actually working and building this city. Unfortunately, we're catering too much for these out-of-state developers. And, fundamentally it came back, that question kept coming back to me, is that who are we building our city for? And my time at Legal Aid was just so crucial in helping me understand that and helping me realize that at the local level, we can do so many more things with our policies when we are willing to believe that something different is possible and that we don't resign ourselves to just the fact that, this is what the city looks like. But I refuse to believe and take that answer, and that's why I'm here.
Final question. In under a minute, tell us, what's your favorite part of living in Cleveland?
Oh, that's a great question. I think it has to be food. I'm very food motivated. So everything, of course, I'm a little biased towards Indian food, but everything from Indian food to some of the best pizzas we have. I mean, from Sense to Il Rione. Unfortunately, City Slice just closed in my ward, but there is an East Side City Slice, so please check that out. But I think food would have to be it, from all of our immigrant communities, from the Nepali to the Afghani communities that have brought to our city. It's a city that's built and defined by immigrants, and I'm really excited for that future.
Do not sleep on the food scene in Cleveland, people. It is very diverse
That's
very tasty.
Absolutely.
Tanmay Shah, the council member-elect for the City of Cleveland, Ward 12, thank you for sharing your time with us today.
Thank you so much for your time as well, and thank you for the listeners.
We appreciate it.